class. Today we are going to look at how can you use an external type of font, whether they are usually we use Google fonts. We shall also look at how to add icons to links or text. We shall also introduce a bonus for Z index. What is Z index? What does it mean? How do we apply it? How useful is it? So we are going to be covering all that stuff. So let's begin with fonts. We can create 2 new files. Once again, can create them on a different page. We can save them probably in the name of maybe we can save font dash icons .html. Avoid spaces. By spaces I mean avoid saying that font something like it, font space icons. No, use a dash or an underscore. So I can save that as an HTML. Then I can also say that font dash icons dot css will be a css file. Once again we can say css and we save. We create our page very fast. We can call this font dash icons meta. So now we are going to see how we can use. In previous tutorials we had seen how we can use we had seen how we can use the font family or the fonts that are already embedded, that already CSS understands. But what if we wanted to change to something else, other fonts that probably we can get on the web and they look nice and stuff like that? Then we can also be able to do so. That's majorly what we are going to look at. So here is our structure. Some of these are for formality, but it is important that you have them. You get used to how these things work. Now we can say that maybe .webfonts as our class, and then we can say h1, for example, our usual liking of food types. h2 we can say which kind of food do you like. We could have an h3 also that says all types of good cooked food, something like that. So if we do that, then maybe we can have here our h3 like we were doing in other pages or not. We can come to our web page, or we go to our folder and open font icons. We shall only see these 3 lines just like they are here. Now I have default fonts. We can come, we are going to look at around 2-3 ways of working around this. So you head to Google, you can look for a certain type of font you want. Maybe we can begin with, say, Montserrat font. Under Google, it will be under Google Fonts. So once the page loads, I can now click on Montserrat Google Fonts. As you can see, I've already used it somewhere in my workings. I could be opening another page here as we work on that, called Roboto. Another type of font that I like to use at Roboto Fonts. So I can come here now and select which type, because you can see right, extra right, italic. How do I want my word to be? Regular, so watch out for this. If it is italic, you can see it's slightly bent. Regular 400, regular 400, italic, medium 500. So whatever you want. Maybe I want something like this. I can say, click on this plus, that's select this style. We don't have to download it. We don't have to download this family. We can just keep linking it online now. These are 2 ways. For Montserrat, I'm going to show you one way, then I will show you another way with, say, Roboto. So you can come here, you see the link here. There is the link, so we are going to use a link for now. We can copy it here, see it here, then we right click and say copy. Then we come back to our HTML page. Now all links are pasted in the head section of the document, so come here and paste it just like that. So we are having href blah 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 blah. The order does not matter. I can pick this and put it the other side. So when I refresh my page here on font icons, it is still the same because we haven't changed much. Okay, it is not much we have changed. That's the page trying to link to that particular type of font. So the actual name is Montserrat. Can copy it here. Then I go to this the CSS. I say Webfonts. I'm assuming your page could have other things, so that is why I'm beginning with class. Select H1 and here say font family. Instead of the usual ones, I paste this, my Montserrat. Okay, so when I come to my page here and refresh, it will try first to link to read through my code here, link or look for Montserrat as a font type, and then I am able to access or use Montserrat. Okay, so there we are. You can see it changing food types. Before it was very dark and very huge. Now you're using the font type Montserrat, now you can see how it is. That is one way. So another way is by, for example, here I'm at Roboto. Okay, I go to, like the other side, I go to select this style and I will be brought here. These are the styles. So if this is the style I want, I can look for the style I want. These are quite huge, so maybe I can pick right italic, then I click on add this style. So now I can instead say import. So I select this one here, you see it here at import URL. Be very careful, don't pick these styles. If you pick the whole of this, then you will need to take it to the head section of HTML page, yet we no longer use that kind of stuff. So I can pick import, I copy it, I've clicked on import, now I'm clicking on the whole of that. Then for at import we use them under CSS. I can come here under CSS and say add, I just paste. Okay, I just paste the whole thing with its termination at the end, these ones. Okay, the family name is picking the two of them, Montserrat and Roboto, but I want to use Roboto. I'm just trying to make sure I'm picking the right spelling. That is why I am highlighting there. So I can come to .webfonts. Okay, now on H2, and I say font family Roboto. So I go to my page here, I refresh, and then it will change this font style from UTF, you can see it, from UTF -8 or the default one to Roboto. So we can say congratulations. We can look at another font style, maybe something like say Josephine. Josephine font. Try to search for that. So if you don't know any type of font, you can simply type in Google Fonts, then they will take you to all the rest of the fonts, and then you select which one you want. So they will take me to the page that has different styles of Josephine, Sans. There's another type of Google Fonts. We had used also H3, so we can apply that H3. So we can look through the types here of Josephine. Maybe for this one we want what? Let's just make it look big, just nothing much. Select this style. We can now also choose to import it or pick the link, or choose to import it. So import, I pick this one here, make sure the termination is also included. I copy, I go to my CSS and paste it here. This is Josephine plus Sans. Okay, copy. So I say .webfonts H3 font-family. I paste that is the type I want, since I have internet. If you don't have internet, you can't use these, because then they won't link to this page or to the style sheet. So I refresh my page. I refresh my page, and now there we are. That's what we have now, slightly bigger or darker than how the normal H3 looks like. So these are Google fonts. That's how you import or link to external fonts on your page, and they are quite nice because like Roboto, you will find it many pages using it. Like I said, there are quite a number of pages, rather fonts, that you can use. Now we are going to also look at an interesting topic, that is the Z index. So what is Z index? You can say Z index, majorly this is a CSS property that defines the order of overlapping HTML elements. We have HTML elements, but we can say how do these HTML elements, how can they overlap each other? We can create an H3 here and say Z dash index. We can now come here and say H3 background green, white, 400 pixels, 4 pixels for border radius. Then we come here and maybe now add an H3 here. Let's say is the web fonts, so that these become our topics. Oops. H3 is taken up already. We can use H3 is already taken up here. We can change this to an H4. Maybe this without an H3. Then we have to change this one to H4 because then it won't have effect. Can say the BR here, the web fonts 3 for Z index. So okay, our main challenge with our pages is around here. This is not the right wording, so it should be green. When we change that and refresh, then we should be okay with our page now. So we are saying that we can create, we are talking about what Z index is, that what if you had, say, images, mostly images or simply words even, or just boxes, whatever you would want. You want them to look like they are in a stack or one on top of the other. Like you would create a 3D effect. Yes, you can create it with a box shadow, but you could also create just some small triangles or rectangles or whatever shape you want to design, and you want them to be on top of each other. You can still use what we call Z index. And Z index uses both negative and positive numbers, but the best way also to use it is by applying positioning. We shall look at positioning as a topic, and majorly, much as there are several other positioning property values, but here with Z index we use only 3: relative, absolute, and a static. That is where you can apply Z index. There is another type of positioning called sticky. We shall see that was actually newly introduced, but majorly we had the relative, absolute, and static. We shall see how those ones work when we come to positioning. So here we are simply going to look at Z index, a sample of Z index, then we continue to how you can add icons to either your text or your links. Majorly we use them for links, but icons can also be added to text, like we had seen in the previous tutorial for HTML, using the and symbol, and then or using what we call HTML entities, and then the backward slash for CSN entities, and then applying them to either using pseudo elements and that particular section where we are looking at the before or after as pseudo elements. So when we come to our HTML here, we can give a sample of index. We can first and foremost create a container. This will hold all our say boxes. We are going to look at what if you wanted to stack say boxes. To somebody looking at them will realize that maybe you have 3 boxes on top of each other. Then you could also try it out with images. How do you stack say 3 images on top of each other? So we can do it using all the say Z index. We can have say class.box. We are going to use a similar class simply because we want them grouped together. We could use an ID here, that this one here maybe is you can use the RGB system. You can call this red. We can also use then red, blue, green, RGB, red, green. This is green. Then we can give it an ID of green. Remember, an ID is more specific than a class. We could also use this one as blue. Okay. Then we could give it an ID which is equal to blue. So even if I refresh, there is nothing we are going to see, because these areas, these sections where we would write something are empty. So there is nothing you would see. So we could go ahead and say for the start to CSS, I can pick this container. I can come here and say that dot container, what should it be? Maybe its width should be say 500 pixels. Its height could be 400 pixels. Let me introduce background here, maybe light gray. So when I refresh now, this is what you will see. I'm seeing something like this. Okay. Otherwise I would use border, then you see the outline, but the background can also give you this. Maybe say position, relative. Said you can apply the Z index to position, relative, absolute, and static. I want to define them now. I'll define them when we come to the topic called positioning. How you can position virtually and your text or image anywhere on the web page or in the container that you have. Container means something that is encompassing other things inside. Consider a jerrycan. A jerrycan is a container that holds water. So when we are dealing with IDs, we use hash. We are beginning with the red, and what are we defining? We are going to define literally such that you can be able to see them. We can make this 400 pixels and we make the height 300 pixels. Since we are looking at the ID, we begin with the hash for the ID, a dot for the class. The background, let it be red, but position is going to be absolute. Maybe something I can tell you about absolute is that usually absolute functions best together with relative. If the container is position relative, then whatever the contents of the container should be positioned either absolute or sticky or even static, so that one will work properly. Now when I refresh, I see my red box there. Okay, before we do that, I can even keep this. I will show you how purposeful it is. I can give this color, the next one was green. Okay, I can say green. We literally pick the same things here. We are going to create equal boxes, but this color should be green. When we refresh our page, we see our green going downwards there. We can copy this and now increase. This should be blue. Then we can change the color to blue. So we refresh our page, and here we have these three squares like this, but we need them inside this container. So you say absolute, we can position absolute that, and it will simply jump, and then we also absolutely position this, and then also this is position absolute, and we refresh. Now all are inside there. So unfortunately you are only being able to see only one of these, but all of them are inside there. So how can we alternate them? Let me show you. You can first play around. Z index of this, what if we make it 3? Let us just refresh on that. By making it 3, the red comes on top. See? By making the Z index of say 4, we expect the green to be on top. Then making the Z index of blue maybe to be 2, we still expect green to be on top since it has the highest Z index. Refresh and green comes on top. Okay, so if this becomes 5, which is the largest, then blue will get back on top. That is Z index for you. Now something else you could see also, if I wanted blue to be on top, but then you see all the boxes. Now since we have this position, whether absolute or static or relative, they all have you can define now the exact position where you want this. For example, I can come to this blue and say that top give me 10 pixels. So leave a space of 10 pixels at the top. Left, which is the left hand side, leave a space of 30 pixels. Okay, when we refresh, we see something like that. Now green can get out, you see. Then I can come to green here also and say that top something lower than this, because we want to see them arranged. We can pick a 7 here pixels. Left, we could say the other one 30, 25 pixels. So we'll refresh and we see it here. Okay, we can now say that the top 5 pixels, watch the top here, you can see green is taller than blue, and then we say left 20 pixels. So when we refresh, we create something like this. We can now see all our elements, top, the middle one, and the one at the bottom. What took them to the bottom and the top? This Z index. What created the shapes? Height and width. What created their positions? This. What created the background? This. Okay, so if I make this 6, red or green should be on top. It will maintain its positions. Okay, now you can see our red there, our green here, blue here. So if you wanted to create the same things, then you play around with this. You can exchange these. I can pick these here and paste them here, pick these ones here, bring them up here. Red maybe will stay there. So you play around with those, and there you go with your Z index. Something very nice. You could choose to reduce the sizes. You could make this, for example, for all of them. You could make it like this. I am pressing the Alt button. Work on all of them. You could maybe now make this to be 100 pixels. Then the height could be, let's make a height of around 30 pixels. You see how this looks like. We can always change it. See? So we can make this 80, for example, refresh, and there we are. We can then even choose to reduce the size of that. So there are many ways you can play around with all this the whole day until you get out what you want, as long as you know the numbers, or as long as you know what to change. So you can play around with all these comfortably. So we can look at say here HR, BR, H3, say creating icons. So we can use icons. Their icons are not necessarily symbols. Or is bottled fire. You can use maybe a star as an icon. You can use a star as a symbol. You can use an and as an icon. You can use an and as a symbol. So it depends on what or how you are going to use these. But before you deal with any icons, let us first create the HTML part where we want these icons inserted. And usually, apart from normal text or change, you would want to use these with the links. And the best way is that even if somebody clicked on the icon, assuming they had, for example, a small screen, and you had set your web page that if the screen is of that size, let only the icons be shown. So when somebody hovers over the icons, then the same icons can take them to the same page link you created under those icons. So that is how we are going to create our icons. Otherwise, you could just create them to simply be normal icons without them being links to certain pages. So we can create maybe a class called label, and then and here we create links UL and UL LI, and each LI, since they are links, they have to be LI for items or list items, A for links. And what are they going to link to? We can link to foreign pages, or we can link to pages of our own, or we can create other pages. For example, we can now say, because I would want to look at icons that are easier for you to see, we can create other files here. We can create a page here, shall use it, I'm sure, that says maybe something like forms.html. Okay, we save this. There is no need of writing anything. We can also save this as maybe links.html. Save as type is HTML. We save. We can save this one here as maybe tables.html. You will be selecting save as type in Windows operating system. We could also create another page that says audio and video.html, and we also have HTML, and then you save. So we can link to pages that are already here, such that when somebody clicks on them, they can open, instead of saying page doesn't exist or something like that. So we can pick the first one as links. They must have the same name, links. It's already there. So this is a link. What should somebody see should be in between the anchor tags here. Okay, that is what somebody should see. But we are going to use the span tag, then we say links. So when we refresh our page down here, somebody can see that. See, when I hover over it, it tells me where this is located. So we have links. We can now then copy this and paste it a few number of times. We change this to maybe tables. Okay, and this will change to tables. Tables would have proper naming of capital and then the rest as small. We could create this as forms. It will come by itself if you've already saved them there. Forms, then this will be audio, and then we could have here audio and video. So when we save, we refresh our page, we have them there: links, tables, forms, audio and video. So already there is what we can do to this. We could, for example, come here and say, could add a background to the horrible class. We could say that background, let it be sea green. I could also say that margin auto, this will center them, center the class, margin auto. we could also say that the width should be 500 pixels. Okay, we can say 250, and then we say height of say 120 pixels. Okay, we refresh our page. This is what we have. So we could also remove these underlines, okay, for links. We could also remove these dots. We had seen how to do that. What do? We can go to the same class. We say UL, LI, then A, where we class UL, LI, A. So we are affecting this. What do we want if they are links? I said we use text decoration. If they are lists, we use list style. Text decoration none. We refresh. This removes the underlines. See them gone. Then we can use the same thing here, but we only want lists, and then we use the list style none, and we remove the icons, or the bullets. We could also, for example, change the color of this and its font size. We can pick span. Why span? Because these that we are seeing are under the span tag, so we put it here to affect them directly. Instead of, we couldn't create a class here, so we can put them under span. That will help us. Span is another tag, and inline actually, an inline element, one that would be putting them on the same line. That's why we are using span. We can pick span. What do we want with it? We can say that font size is maybe 17 pixels, slightly bigger than the normal one, which is 16. We could also say color to be white smoke, and we refresh our page. Here we are. So slowly by slowly we are achieving that. So now we are going to add the icons, relevant icons to these links or words. So you can head over to Google and say, first and foremost, you need what we call a CDN, where every other style of those icons is stored. It would be a link. You don't need to download it like in the olden days. So now you can just link to that particular CDN, and you will get the styles from there. You can say maybe CDNJS that I usually use. It will have different types where you pick that you want to pick these awesome font awesome icons. There is this Twitter Bootstrap, or these. You could also use icons from Bootstrap by typing in here Bootstrap icons. You could use icons from Google. Google also has icons themselves. You can type in Google icons, and then you pick their link. That link will help you to style the icons properly. So we pick the CDN, and font awesome here. So that is the version, that is the asset type. We are picking all of them, and you can be careful here. There is brands, there is font awesome, regular, solid, SVG for graphics, but we are not dealing with graphics. Even if we wanted to deal with graphics, we can simply pick all of them. So we can pick the first one here that entails all of them. These are sections, in case you are interested in sections. So you can pick the URL where you will use http blah 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 or href, or you can simply copy a link tag the way it is, take it to the head section. Told you all links are in the head section. I told you in the first stories that we at one point we shall have as many links as we want in the head section. So I can paste this here, and this should be able to link me to the Font Awesome Icons library, where I will be able to find all the styles to those icons. So if I want, I can remove this and simply leave it at that. We are using a / here to close this in case you are going to use your document in XML parsers or XHTML parsers. Those are very strict. They would need each link closed, and we said for tags that do not have a closing tag, then we use a / to mean that is the end of that tag. So now that we have done that, we can come back to our page here and refresh a bit. Then we say we are going to look for the icon of, say, links. We can come back to Google. We say links icon. If I want, I can simply say Font Awesome, because it is what I'm going to use anyway. Or if I simply say links icon, and then they will open. All these you can see are icons, but me, I want the ones for Font Awesome. So all those are different sites where you can pick free icons to use on your own site. So there are going to be a variety of them, but that will be loaded. You can select what you find appropriate to your title. In the meantime, we can come to our document here and add in a few things. We could maybe say that we want these ones to be opening in a different tab. So we say target _ blank. That will help us to make sure that they open in a different tab every time we click on them. So now we can come here, look through these icons, several link icons. There are quite many. We have, for example, these. So you click on the type of link you want, then when it is loaded, you come here strictly and pick this class. By clicking in that, be very careful and repeat this process in case you do not understand it, because this is where some of the errors come in from. When I simply click in this and they are telling you are copying HTML, meaning you're supposed to paste this kind of link in HTML. You could want to edit it the way you want here, all that stuff already made. Copy the link, come to your HTML. We want these links to be pasted or come not after the word. If it is after the word, we would paste it here, but before the word links. So I paste it here. Then I can come to this page and refresh. It is there though not seen, but we still loading. There we are. By default it is blue. We can change their colors. We shall see how to do that. So we shall see how to increase the space in between and several other things, but already you see we are becoming very successful. All they need is internet. Every time you log in or you refresh your page, you would need internet. After some time these links will disappear if you do not have internet, but there is nothing else to worry. You don't cry or worry that your links or icons have gone. All you need is to connect your site to the internet, and then or connect your laptop to the internet. If you are still developing it, to refresh the page, it will access the other link we had created in the header section, and your icons will come back very fast. So we can now search another icon, say for table. Say table, press enter. When we search for table icons, we do the same. You do the same for forms, you do the same for audios. So when you go to the table, I can have this, and I copy this, I paste it here. I can change this. Some of them, when you keep using them, they will start getting stuck to your head, so you could simply use them from there. Be very careful how you paste them. We want them to appear before the word you want to say forms, but also just after or inside the opening link tag or anchor tag. So for forms it would be th, then audio. They have the same class, as you can see. What changes is this name, that make sure that is the particular icon you want. I can say volume dash up. So when we get back here, we could come to the table here. Maybe we want this icon for the table. Okay, you would click on it, then it will load. After loading, it will give you the same page where you were copying. The internet I am using is a bit slow, where you were copying the other section here. Okay, you copy it, just clicking in it and pasting it here. So now that we have them here, I have tables, links, forms, and audio. We can choose to work on them the way we want. We could stop at that and finish. Nobody will beat us, but then we could add some other things in there. So we head over to our CSS. We are saying that go to the class called label. Under that class, pick the I. Okay, why are we now? This is the label. Pick the I. Why? Because there is a label, there is an arrow I, there is an arrow U, there is an A, there is a span. All those are inside the class label. So if I want A, I can say label A. If I want this, I can say label U, arrow I, A. You see? So now I am saying label, then go to I. This one here. So all are I's. as we had looked at this, if you want to create italics, you could as well use this under HTML. So what do you do to this? We can begin by maybe saying, we can look at the space here. If we are okay with it, no problem. If we are not okay with it, we could choose to increase that space. We can as well increase the font. So we can say font dash size to be 13 pixels. Sometimes there are properties that you won't see work until they are worked on by other CSS properties. We could, for example, choose the cursor type. Before I even go ahead, when we hover over here, you can see how it is. So the cursor type is pointer. We can mention it here, cursor to be pointer. That changes from the normal links to the usual, to the cursor pointer like this. If we had another link before this, then they would simply be in normal pointers like this. So we could maybe call this, if this is appropriate, we can leave it at that. If we want it bigger, we can say 20 pixels and refresh, and you see big it is. Then maybe we would need to increase the size of our words here to around 21 pixels. Around 21 pixels, and then when we refresh, we shall have that section also increased. If they are both big, we could just simply revert by saying Ctrl Z. So we could, for example, do that. We can then say that the margin, I will teach you this when we do margin, when we look at margins and paddings. Say margin. Margin takes up 4 parameters. Top, it goes like a clock. Top, right, bottom, and left. So the top part means top of the container or the element, the right hand, the bottom, and the left. When you supply margin or padding with 4 parameters, say 0, 0, 0, 0, you are saying that the top should be 0 pixels, the right 0 pixels, the bottom 0 pixels, and the left 0 pixels. When you supply like this, you are saying that the top should be 0 pixels, the left and right, mark that, the left and right should be 0 pixels, then the bottom should also be 0 pixels. When you supply only 2 parameters, you are trying to say that the top and bottom should be 0 pixels, whereas the right and left margins, that's what it means by margin, should also be 0 pixels. So it takes 4 parameters, but you could use 2. You could as well use 1. If you use 1 like this, you are trying to say that all the corners, all the margins, top, right, bottom, left, should be 0 pixels. So now we are saying that the margin can be 5 pixels. This means that top bottom is 5 pixels, left to right is 0 pixels. We refresh to see the effect. Now it is fitting in properly. The margin of each thing is now fitting in properly. We could, for example, stop at that. It would still be done. We could maybe pick, say, left here. Okay, left, say 400 pixels. You need to be careful on how big this was when we refresh our page. That is how we affect that. We could use Z index, we could leave it at that. We could maybe say padding, where you affecting I, remember saying padding, which side of padding, can say padding right. Okay, it should be around 4 pixels, padding right 4 pixels. When we refresh our page, you can see the space here. Watch it again, it is still at 4 pixels padding right. I am refreshing, you can see it compact. If I want some space, padding right. Once again, let me repeat that we said label I, so what are we affecting? This. Okay, this is what we are affecting, the icon. So we are saying padding right, that the padding. Now let me give a slight difference. You have a container, say a jerrycan. When you say margin, you are trying to increase or decrease the space outside the jerrycan. Okay, so assuming you had pressed a jerrycan near another jerrycan, when you say margin 10 pixels, you are saying increase the space between the jerrycans to 10 pixels. But when you say padding, you are simply trying to say if inside the jerrycan there is water, you are trying to say make sure there is some space between the water and the jerrycan, meaning the water should not touch the jerrycan. I hope that illustration is okay. So we are saying padding right. We are saying because padding also, like margin, takes 4 parameters, it can take 2 parameters, it can take 1 parameter. You could also force it by strictly saying margin, or margin left, margin right, margin top, margin bottom, padding left and all those. So now I can say padding right because the space I want, this is the right hand side of this icon. This is the right hand side, this is the right hand side, this is the left hand side of the icon. So I'm saying padding right, increase the space. Okay, so back to 4 pixels, I could say 5, and when I come and refresh here, this is what I have. So now there is some space. The fact that we put the icons inside the anchor tag, like here, you can see A will open and close from here. So this is the opening tag, this is where it is, you see. So it is before the closing, it is before the closing tag of the anchor tag. Then that's why we have these links. So when we click on this, for example, on the links, it will open the links page. If we had something here, then it would happen. Now if you still want this to be proven, I can come here and put in selectors instead. Okay, then to maintain the space, because I don't want to change much, I can simply use this word, it will fit there, select. When I refresh, I will have the word select here. When now I click on this link, it opens my page where I was teaching selectors.css, the first tutorial of simple selectors actually. So you've just learned very many things there, how to link a page to another. We shall look at that, but now you've already looked at it in that way. So these words are not limited. Okay, the words are not limited. We get back to our stuff. So generally that is how you can add in icons. We will look at this for a very long time. Even when we are looking at Flexbox and its positioning, it's a wide topic, but I'm sure we shall cover it. So those are icons. I told you could use Bootstrap, you could use Google, they have their own links, just like we have used the CDN of Font Awesome, and then the rest are just done like that.